Sonic's boost is a very divisive topic among fans. Some people are going to say the boost is holding the series back. Others say the boost formula can stay, as the foundation laid with Shadow Generations and Frontiers is great. However, a lot of people right now in the Sonic community want the adventure style of gameplay to come back, especially with the open zone being the now predominant 3D Sonic formula, as an adventure style game unlocks a control scheme that allows for far more expression and creativity both for the developers and players. But I used to be personally stuck in that debate. The boost formula is a really good Sonic playstyle, filled with potential and shouldn't be wasted, and I think Sonic Team thinks that exact way since they stuck with the boost for such a long time. But the advantages of bringing the adventure gameplay back are so great. Well, my answer to the question if Sonic should ditch the boost is yes and no, because I think, in my opinion, we should combine both formulas. Yeah, I want the next 3D mainline Sonic game to be adventure and boost styled at the same time, but how can you even do that? One is a slower, more slow physics-oriented style of gameplay with the spin dash and things like that, while the other is like 5 times faster and is way more speed-based. If you were to hypothetically include the boost in an adventure-style game, you would fail terribly because you have given players such a powerful move. People already came up with some ways of mixing both formulas, like evolving the boost mode from Sonic Advance 2, only unlocking the boost after maintaining enough momentum, and some popular but praised ideas like making the boost a temporary burst of speed, like in the SD version of Sonic Unleashed, where pressing the boost just means you're gonna boost for a few frames, then stop, not allowing you to continuously boost like in the HD version of the latter. But I have a problem with all these solutions, which is that they're not really trying to combine the best of both worlds. Rather, they're just nerfing the boost to some capacity to fit the adventure or in some cases the classic formula. It isn't really combining both formulas, which, yeah, I can't blame you because the boost is insanely overpowered. But I have my own idea on how to combine both formulas that doesn't require the nerfing of the boost and keeps the reaction-based, fast, exhilarating speed of the boost while keeping the controlled pace and tight controls of the adventure formula, achieving the perfect Sonic control scheme. But let's keep a rule here to make things easier. Aside from not being able to nerf the boost must be like in Sonic Unleashed, Generations, and maybe Colors. Not nerfed or slowed down like in Shadow Generations and Frontiers. Though I love those games, we want to get the boost in its pure fast way. With that said, let's get into it. I don't think there's any better place to start than to discuss the inspirations of this formula sandwich. So let's take a look at some elements from Sonic games that inspire this idea. Well, here's my playthrough of Green Hill Zone from Sonic Generations. I'm boosting forward, perfecting my run through the level, until I enter this curious loopy-loop. Seems normal to me. But after the camera moves, the sequence is over and you regain control. Well, you're in 2D now. The game has gone from 3D to 2D, and now you start playing this 2D section of the level, speeding through until you reach this ramp, and bam, you're 3D again. You grind through the rails, then it becomes 2D again after this set piece, to finish off in a 3D sidestepping sequence. For a new player, that's very interesting. The game switching seamlessly from 2D to 3D. Let me give you another example, not from mainline Sonic games, but from some spin-offs. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and recently Sonic Racing Crossroads. Let's look at the latter for an example. You're racing in Metal Harbor, speeding, drifting, and attacking other players with items, until you reach this weird portal. Now you have transformed into an airplane. Congratulations, you can freaking fly. The drifting mechanic is altered, and now you're flying across booster rings, and it's all fun, until you get back to driving. Now, as the last inspiration, we have a game that gets called Sonic Adventure 3 by many. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Let's picture this. You're playing Wave Ocean as Sonic, speeding through and having fun. Or having an insufferable time filled with glitches, I'm not judging you. You switch from Sonic to Tails in this one section, and once you jump from the Orca, you spend time with your family and eat your lunch. Now when you're finally back from dinner, you're in a brand new control scheme, with automatic running, some moves taken away, and a bunch of speed in this vast open area. With all this laid down, I'm gonna break down what I want the adventure and boost fusion to be like. Congratulations if you're one of the 2 sane Sonic fans in the world that know where I'm going. Sonic levels should have a gameplay transition mechanic, where you go from adventure gameplay to boost gameplay seamlessly, in my opinion. As an example, You're gonna start the level in the adventure style of gameplay. You have the spin dash, rolling, or whatever, not from the future. You speed through the level, explore, find goodies, rack up score, and find shortcuts. You play a quite fun adventure level. That's until you reach the last section, meant to end everything in the level in a high note, like the climax of a movie. And before you notice it, you hit a loop. In the moments after the loop you went through, you go through this blue ring. After you hit this blue ring, the boost gate shows up. Now you're a car-like Sonic with a slide, the stomp, and everything. You have just went from Sonic Adventure 3 to Sonic Unleashed 2. Sorry for reminding you you're not in heaven. You jump around, you avoid obstacles, find shortcuts, but now you're a bullet. And then after this section is over and you hit the goal, you realize you have just played a masterpiece. This is peak 3D Sonic. The reason I believe in this formula is because of how both elements from both games remain. The boost was not nerfed, and now the level designers have 1,000 different ways to structure, pace, and do anything for the levels, unlocking a world of endless possibilities. Shut up. Well, let's look at other ways you can structure this level. You could have Sonic transition from adventure to boost midway through the level, like the 2D sections of Unleashed and Generations. You'll play through some set piece, traveling across rooftops as Boost Sonic, just to reach ground level and become Adventure Sonic again, spin dashing and platforming. Maybe you can have Sonic boosting for the big set piece of the level, but then end peacefully with an adventure section. You could start the level in the boost style with exhilarating speed to give off a fire first impression, possibly teasing the level's ending set piece. Or you could just do it like 06 with the speed sections, where you just have some levels without it, make some of the game's levels just not have the boost. Or you could make levels that are entirely boost levels. But even though this is a beautiful idea, there's a potential problem Sonic Team would have to really avoid that could be caused with this. Which I'm better off just warning. Sonic Team, do not water down the boost. By that I mean making the boost level design simpler compared to games like Sonic Unleashed or Generations, making the boost sections glorified set pieces. If Sonic Team were to do that, they would be completely missing the point of mixing adventure and boost. They should be giving equal care to the level design of both sections. I don't want set pieces with a boost slapped on top. I want to be switching back and forth between two equally peak Sonic gameplay styles that achieve exactly what I like about the franchise. To end this discussion, I want to cover a big question with realistically implementing this into the next mainline Sonic game. How will you fit this formula into the open zone gameplay? It will certainly work in action stages or cyberspace or whatever Sonic linear levels there will be in Sonic Frontiers 2, but it should be made tricky with the free open zone, right? In my opinion, honestly, no. Sonic Frontiers did implement a swapping of gameplay with 2D sections, if you can even call it that, but they just don't work when the game is open world because common sense. However, adding the boost gameplay transitions into the open zone could work in many great ways. You know how the open zone of Shadow Generations has missions where you collect rings under the time limit or chase a clock around the map? Well, imagine these same missions in the next mainline Sonic game, but from the moment you start you are given the boost. Doesn't need to be all of them, maybe just some, and now for this limited amount of time, you can boost around in the open zone and finish the missions, and once they're done, you go back to an adventure mode in the open zone. That seems insanely fun. You can have some of the big platforming sections like the towers of the main game and the ones from Final Horizon turn you into a boosting Sonic for a limited amount of time, like one of these blue rings I suggested but with a clock sign in them. And now you have a few seconds to boost across the platforming section. Since platforming while boosting requires a lot more skill and practice due to the faster control scheme, you could either take the risk or not. It gives you far more options and rewards good players for taking risks. You can also implement this into the platforming on the open zone boss fights, which would make them quite interesting. And you can even give players the option to use the boost as a sort of semi-fast travel, which actually fixes the problem of fast travel, which is basically the fact you skip all the fun of exploring the open world and you just go to the place you're supposed to go like a linear game. And a hypothetical boost would turn that into exploring the open zone in a completely new way. It would be a great post-game unlockable, where you click somewhere in the map or the menu and start boosting freely. It gives you two ways of traversing the open zone that is only unlocked after the game can trust you to use these mechanics, So the open zone can actually give you far more options, infusing the boost and adventure styles. And the even better part is that now you can even implement mechanics like the boost mode from Advance 2, independently from the already existing boost playstyle change. Now you are creating a style of 3D Sonic gameplay that doesn't throw away everything we've been getting for decades, but instead uses everything to create the ultimate style that gives far more creative freedom to Sonic Team and pleases all fans and enjoyers of 3D Sonic. Thank you for reaching to the end of this video, have a blessed day, and with all that said, bye bye.